I'll call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting for August the 10th. No changes to the agenda, I don't think, so I will ask for adoption of the agenda, please. Councillor Traynor, Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Thank you. New business 3.1, electrical strategy. Jeremy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, to start off, I'm going to have some just introductory comments on what the energy strategy is, and then we'll go section by section and talk about the outline of the report In 2019, Council identified several strategic priorities, initiatives, and actions as part of their strategic planning process. One of the strategic initiatives was the development of this energy strategy to determine how to, and I quote, plan for and manage the community's energy needs and climate change impacts. The following items were identified during the strategic planning: innovative practices, community support and engagement, sustainable energy future, resource management, understanding how Summerland uses energy, energy vision for the community, current energy profile, energy solutions and initiatives, priorities, and financing and funding sources. Madam Mayor, unless there is a change of direction from Council, we're going to be touching on all of these items in the strategy. Using the strategic priority, staff have written this preliminary and very high-level energy strategy outline. With almost 100 gigawatt hours of energy usage and over $8 million in power purchases, the energy strategy document is currently outlined with focus on the electric utility. In general terms, the document will summarize our existing energy use, identify energy initiatives, and score each energy initiative. In this way, Summerland will be able to focus on top scoring initiatives as priorities for further investigation and development. Question, Jeff? So we'll go through the outline. As I said before, it's pretty high level, so it's very preliminary. We just wanted to get this in front of council so that we can get that direction kind of early on, because during the strategic planning, there wasn't a lot of information there on exactly what we wanted to see in the energy strategy. So this outline is based on two previous similar documents that I was involved in the past.
Before you go any further, sorry, I didn't jump in quickly enough. When you were listing the document, what it might look like, number 11, Community Energy Investment Plan, is that related to the solar project?
Is that in the report, Madam Mayor?
Yes. At the top of page 2, the last item on that numbered list.
Oh, sorry, I didn't miss that one.
Is that what it refers to? Is people having the opportunity potentially to invest in the solar project? Or is
That
yes?
could- yeah, that
Okay.
could be included in that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions? And did you say $800 million per year?
8 million.
8 million. Oh yeah, I was thinking 800 million. How could that fit in our budget? Thank you. 8 million. Okay. That's a big surprise to you, right, Dave? Yeah.
Okay, so if everyone has a copy of the outline, we'll just start at the top. So the first section of the report is the executive summary, as usual, with a report like this. And I'm just going to read the purpose. Purpose: high-level, low-cost review of energy opportunities. And remember to utilize existing
Please use your mic, Councillor
Sorry.
Hartwell. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, we'll definitely be using other utilities, energy strategies, or power system plans. They all call them a variety of things. They're all somewhat similar, and that we'll be using that information wherever we can, so that we're not writing this report from scratch. So as I was saying, we could spend a lot of money on this report, and I have in the past with other utilities. Spend $100,000. It could be a 300-page report. We could study every detail of every possible energy opportunity. I feel that for Summerland, that's not appropriate. We can do that if that's something council's interested in. But I believe that we can use reports that are already written. For instance, we have a solar and battery storage report that has pretty much all the information we need in it to put into this report that's going to look at, for instance, solar as one of the energy opportunities. And then there's other reports that are freely available in Canada, and we can utilize those, for instance, Penticton's and other utilities to inform this report. We also have some studies that have been done on some of the in-pipe turbine, that sort of thing. So we do have some studies that have been done internally already. So the plan is to use that information and not rewrite everything from scratch for this report. So I want to make that clear up front. There'll be a strong slant towards electric utility related items. And the general focus is on the economic value of the energy opportunity with consideration of the environmental and social impacts. And I feel that that statement sort of summarizes the 1 to 11 bullet points that are in the strategic plan. Questions on that introduction?
When you say economic value, are you referring to the value of the opportunities, like you mentioned with duplicate power supplies, or the value that we would get, say, from upgrading to 25,000 volts and cost saving, cost benefit, such thing?
Yeah, the rate of return, so we've got our capital, so whatever the opportunity is, say it's a voltage conversion, or say it's a thermal plant, there's a capital cost up front, and then there's a savings over time. What are those dollars net out to for us? Okay, so that's the executive summary. So the first section, except for a second section after the executive summary, but section 1 will be a description of our existing energy systems. So that was something council wanted in the strategic priorities, was to include that. So we'll discuss, there'll be two sections, two subsections within this section, one for the electric utility and one for the municipality. So the electric utility will talk about what do we have for an electric utility, what do our assets look like, what do our customers look like, what do our load profiles look like, what do our revenues look like, etc. So it's going to be just a summary of the electric utility. And then the second subsection is the municipal energy. So, for instance, let's say council decides that they would like to see analysis done on electric vehicle charging stations as part of this report. It's not really an electric utility as such. So we can include some of that information in section 2 here under municipal energy. Or another example would be we have a lot of waste wood in Summerland. What sort of tonnage are we seeing on that? What type of wood is that? So that's all energy. And if we want to explore waste wood in the form of pellets or some other energy conversion method, then under this second subsection, we will include some of that information. Okay. Section 2.
Could I just ask one question? Under the electrical utility 1.1, does that include asset management information about life cycle and the components that have to be replaced? Or is that in another area? Or
We will touch on asset management a little bit in this report. It won't be a focus. We'll have to discuss it as part of
That's the one that we have applied for a grant and we're not successful. Is that correct, the first time around? But there's potential to try again, hopefully with something else. Just making sure I'm on the right, yes, that's your
That's
project?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
There's a program to replace all the transformers with PCBs, right? Now, are those transformers being replaced with the 25,000 volt transformers that can do both?
Yes, Madam Mayor, our current transformer spec is for dual voltage transformers. So they operate at 8,000 volts, which is what we have now, and 25,000 volts when the day comes and we need to switch. It's just a matter of when we switch on the transformer.
What about the wires?
Wire doesn't, this doesn't affect the wire, so you don't have to replace wires.
So it's just a question of, and transformers don't last forever, right? Obviously. So we could do this either all at once or over time.
That's right, through attrition. Okay, any other questions on the conversion? One side note on the conversion though is we have that grant application eventually coming up. We'll be discussing it. And this report will look at what the pros and cons would be to doing it ourselves with no grant funding. So the economic analysis will be for that. Okay, next section, 3.2, modern metering. This subsection will summarize costs and benefits of modern metering, including impact to reduce demand costs and implement energy conservation measures targeted to reduce peak. So that's known as time of use rates. And it also allows us to look at our system and find some of the theft going on. So right now that's very difficult to do on the meters we have because they're only read once a month. Modern metering, we can set up to read every minute if we like. So that helps us see where the energy is going.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could we also view the time of use rates as a two-tier system? Those with higher consumption would pay more.
We can do lots of different rate structures, Madam Mayor, with metering that reads more often than monthly, including that.
Just, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but how much more does a time of use meter cost than a regular meter?
I can't answer that right now. The report will show that though.
I mean, I know it's done. Sometimes it's like 40 cents a kilowatt hour you're paying. We're in a different situation. It'll be interesting.
I can add, Madam Mayor, that most other utilities have found that it makes economic. Part of this section will also be talking to our vendors to see if we can get a firm limit on how long we'll be supporting the existing meters that we have. And initial conversation with them this year is that in 5 years we'll be phasing that out and not supporting them. So we're probably forced to, well, we will be. The utility will be forced to one day to move to this. We don't have to use it. The meters we buy and install will eventually be more modern meters that we would be using.
So read remotely, does that mean smart meters? Or what do you mean by modern metering?
Um,
Modern meters.
I don't like the term smart meter because it's sort of like smartphone, where, well, now all phones are just phones. It was a smartphone before, now it's just a phone. So this is kind of the same with metering. There's no real definition of what a smart meter is. The meters we have today are the first generation smart meter. They can be read over radio, which is what we do now. And that was all the rage when they first came out. So
about modern metering. Okay,
So again, Madam Mayor, if there's anything we're touching on here that you don't want staff to waste their time investigating, then now's the time to let us know. If there's anything we missed in here, feel free to jump in and we can look at it again. Okay, so 3.3, distributed generation program. That's our net metering program. So we'll do the economics on that and sort of see what is that program costing us, and that will help inform future rate design for that rate class, or potentially removing it altogether, or keeping the program going, or so we have sort of informed decision making on that.
Councillor Barklow has a question.
Yeah, what's the rate of uptake on that? 'Cause I mean, obviously, we get to a point that, we'll have to do something about rates and such. Right now,
It's still infancy sort of uptake. I can't remember what the exact last number was, maybe something like 45 or 50. I can tell you BC Hydro has 2,500 and all of those things.
and so the electromotion, equipment would fit in this category?
We really pushed that metering program, and if we really wanted to see solar on the rooftops, and combined with modern metering, could we use that technology to do peak shaving? We use other people basically to release their rates up really efficient. Is that a useful application?
Madam Mayor, we have been discussing that in the electric utility world for like 10 years. The ability to do that, and the electric vehicle charging as well. Use customer electric vehicle batteries to supply the grid for the peak hours. And to my knowledge, there's no vendor that supplies any equipment that gives you that level of control over someone's solar installation or electric vehicle. I don't think that I don't think you can buy that today, because the consumer would be the one buying it. And if we offer the program, that's about all we would do is say, we would like to do that, we'll give you a special rate. But to my knowledge, there's actually nothing on the market that would allow us to do that currently. Doesn't mean we wouldn't develop it ourselves or something crazy, but
So it might work if we gave them a special rate at those hours where we want electricity shaving.
maybe need some financial incentive to actually spend extra money on that equipment that allows us to control it. So there would be some sort of rate, special rate, or some sort of payout from the utility for that, like the it's a little early for that one. Probably one day, maybe at the end of my career.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Councillor Holmes sounds like he's very much a futurist here. But the first step would be his time of day meeting, right, to do our peak shaving. We charge a little bit more money for the power consumed during the peak times, and then people would pay attention to that and use less power during those dinner time things. And we would be able to get some pretty good estimates of what that would mean to us from the experience of other communities, I presume, that have installed that and seen the change.
Madam Mayor, there's some pretty good, again, this action is solar. We all know all about that. Wind. I don't know of a report that looks at the wind resource in the Okanagan Valley, but we'll be looking for one to see what the wind resource is and putting some numbers together on that capital investment up front and to see, is that something that requires further study? Maybe we have a wind turbine somewhere in Summerland.
Councillor Klaus, just a note on that, I think, 6 PM on a winter evening is the windiest time in my backyard, so we need to shave the peak. That.
That's a good point.
Not in my backyard. But I know that's.
Put it in the park.
4.3 hydro. This will look at hydro generation. We know we have some creeks and streams in town. I believe there's been some really preliminary work done on this in Summerland, so we'll try to use those reports, but it's probably going to be very high level, looking at elevations of reservoirs and some really high level costs. So likely going to require further study, but it's close to the top as one of the potential items that we want to look for. Microhydro, so that's the in-pipe turbines. We already have some information on that, and we have some communities nearby that have successfully done this, so we'll likely be talking to them and getting their numbers.
Which communities have them? Because I noticed there's a letter in the agenda tonight from Fort St. John where they're complaining that the 9 cents a kilowatt hour doesn't even cover their operational costs on a small turbine. So what else is around here?
I believe in the Okanagan Lake Country
Yeah.
actually has one that's bigger.
Yeah, I think that's right. You already used talking to me.
So we'll be pulling those examples and seeing what we can do here. Again, high level numbers just to give us an idea of, is this something that requires a little more study? Actually maybe getting some quotes or what have you.
So I'm going to say maybe it's not even worth considering because they're too far away, but our dams like Thirsk and Eisenbach, just too far away to even consider.
We haven't placed any boundaries around what that could include, so likely look at all of our reservoirs and have some comment on each one of those. And the comment is that it's $1 million to put a distribution line there, so it's probably not a good project. But we'll probably look at all of them, or we will look at all of them. And some may fall into place regularly.
Sorry, when you talk about Thursday nights, you may not be us, we could look at a partnership with someone like CW. Just throw it out there.
I just have a question if we're, again, if we're talking about Eisentalk or Thirsk or something like that that's in our community watershed. What are the environmental impacts of doing that? Because there's, fish and other things in there. The ONA is working on a downstream in Trout Creek. What kind of,
There's usually, well, there always is now, certain water requirements. So you have a turbine in there, and you still have to supply X amount of water at all times regardless. So you might end up having to
was in charge of that back then was a fellow named Dr. Neil Church, and I know him, and I can probably find out, dig up what reports he might have on that. Was quite a while ago, but he also always says that if they'd had more money and could have gone deeper, he still felt like there could be possibilities somehow with the geology of what they were pulling up at the time and everything. But
that's all we have for the outline. If council has any comment or maybe just overall, is that the direction we wanna take with the report or anything to add?
Councillor Ganelson?
I'd like to, I'd like to see this go forward, but how, work capacity wise, who's doing it? You?
Madam Mayor, we've budgeted to have this report done, because it's a low budget report using existing reports. We're not writing it in-house. Right now, for instance, for this outline, so it's 2 phone calls with a consultant, fellow company that I've used in the past.
will we be looking, could we look at, the hours of use for the charging stations? How long, how often they're being used, how long, and we're charging what, 0 now?
We have currently stations in Summerland, and we do have the information on not who to the name, but we can tell if the same vehicle was charging, how long it was charging for, what time of day is in there. I suspect that at some point we'll have access to data like where are they from. We might be able to use some of that information to see where our visitors are coming from. And augment some of that other data that we have. But to answer your question, we have some of that now,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have more of it. So the information we have now is gonna go into this report that was summarized.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question. Under 4.1, where we're looking at electrical energy generation, so the solar component, is this the spot, and I don't want to belabor this, I know that it's something that is down the road in the solar and battery project. At some point in this report, will it look at I think there's 3 different options for distribution, whether it's a community investment, or if the electrical utility manages everything. I think there were 3 different options that Tammy was talking about, and I know that it's still too early to discuss that in the solar and battery project, but I'm wondering if that will be part of this document.
We could explore that in this. You mean a community solar farm, or however they term it, solar garden, where members of the community can purchase some portion of it, and it offsets their monthly bill. Is that what?
Yeah, that was the kind of individual community opportunity to invest, and then there were 2 other options on how that was managed, I guess, or administrated. Tammy was talking about it probably 2 years ago now, and it was something that was so far off in the future that we didn't actually decide on one or the other, or one of the 3. Does anybody else remember that? It was at one of the open houses that were specifically about the, thank you. And I'll have to look at my old, I know I got it on here somewhere. Okay.
We can touch on that in the report.
Is there anything in the report, in the outline that we have before us, that people, councillors would like to see that, not, any further exploration on anything? Is there everyone's okay with all of the options that are there? Okay. All right, Councillor Holmes.
Right,
How long do you think it'll take to do?
depends how much council likes the first draft.
That's a good answer.
Madam Mayor, it really depends on how far down the rabbit hole we want to go. If we are okay with keeping it high level and accepting assumptions, then we can move faster.
strategy and get some input so council can keep that or have that included as part of the decision-making process. But I think over the next 3 to 6 months is a good timeline to get a draft back in front of council so council can really see the direction that this is shaping the community and the utility. So 3 to 6 months in terms of getting a draft back, I would say, is reasonable. It's making sure that we can get the right feedback from the community through that process will be important, so council can feel as though they've been consulted and we have that feedback for some good decisions to be made towards the end of the year.
So the community portion of it would be pre-draft.
As part of developing
Yes.
the draft, just to
Right,
get
thank you.
again the information again, as Jeremy's mentioned, is quite high level at this stage. We want to get a sense of is this the right direction the community want to head in with their utility as well, and that kind of set can inform information we bring back to council.
Councillor Carlson?
I'm just wondering if in the last 100 years or so since Summerland has had this utility, if we've actually ever done anything like this to look at, what is the potential and where is it going to go? Is this an update of some kind, or is this let's put something on paper so that we can go somewhere?
Madam Mayor, I haven't been able to find anything on file.
Yeah, I believe this is the first type of strategy from information that we've been able to gather. I think it's the council have obviously signalled an investment in the electric utility over the last couple of years. The strategy is going to provide a longer term, a number of different priorities over the next 3 to 5 years and beyond for investment into the utility, which is important from council's perspective and the community. And there's going to be a number of implementation items that are going to be coming out of a process like this, which will be important for the community to get behind or provide some feedback on. So it's certainly a strategy that's going to set up the utility for success into the future, if that's the direction council want to head in.
Any other questions? Someone bring forward this report for information, please. Councillor Van Elfen and Holmes. Further discussion? Councillor Barklow.
I would say that this is all good, but the very first strategy has to be to keep the infrastructure modern and reliable and cost down. After that, then we start looking at the cool stuff.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Van Elfen.
Are you saying it's fixed what's broken first?
Well, I didn't say anything was broken, but there might be some cracks out there.